Hello. I'm doing a review of the Backrooms, the movie, not the meme. Meme review, Backrooms. No, I saw the movie Backrooms a couple weeks ago now. And I'm just gonna hop on and this is my quick thoughts on it. It is good. It is good. I have some. I felt weakest part is I feel some of the plotting and character writing was a little, not strong. Like it's kind of the anti-obsession. I compare them only because they're both very popular horror movies in theaters right now. But like Obsession has a pretty generic premise that doesn't sound that interesting on paper, but is executed really well through its character writing and plot development. Backrooms is a really intriguing concept, like liminal space, horror. They built these massive practical sets, like they built actual back rooms, and the way it's shot, the way it's directed to sort of enhance that liminality. But then its actual plot and characters are a little weak. I say a little weak. I have grown on this movie since I watched it. It has a very that's it kind of ending, which leaves you walking out of the theater. At least it left me walking out of the theater feeling a little like they dropped the bag a little bit. But there's a lot to appreciate about it that I appreciate more. I'm thinking about it. It also has the misfortune of being the first movie I saw in theaters after seeing Obsession. Like, Backrooms should not need to be compared to Obsession. If Obsession didn't come out, I would be like, oh yeah, Backrooms is the best horror movie I've seen. It's not like I've seen any other horror movies this year, so I guess, but like, it's good. It's good. And the best part about it is those set designs, the elaborate. There's some found footage sequences, one at the beginning of the movie and one in the middle of the movie, and that's where the movie is at its best. That's where it really shines. I'm glad it's not all a found footage film, because I think that would, we already I don't need Blair Witch Project Backrooms, I feel like if it was all a found footage thing, it would just feel like watching a YouTube video or a YouTube series on the big screen. Whereas this does, it's got big name actors. It's got really impressive cinematography as well. Like, it's not just that these sets are well designed, they're well shot. The whole thing's very well directed. Kane Parsons, he is 20 years old. He is 20 years old, and he did his job. You wouldn't know it if the internet didn't constantly remind you. He is 20 years old. Uh, that was the best. I'd say the writing, whoever the writer was probably if there was any weak link, it was them. Because there was just some, especially in the third act, I felt there was some character arcs that just didn't really. So the main guy, he's Clark. His name's Clark. He runs this furniture store that clearly isn't doing very well. He's in therapy with a therapist character who do I not remember the name of, but she's played by Renate Reinsve, who I've seen in A Different Man, which is a very cool movie with Sebastian Stan. She's in Sentimental Value, the Oscar-nominated movie last year. She's a more of a foreign film actress, but she's breaking more and more into the American scene. But I like her. It's funny that I'm going into this much detail. I weirdly didn't like her that much in this movie. She was fine, but I also think she just wasn't given a lot to do. Her character, I don't think this is a spoiler because it's in the trailers, but eventually her therapist character goes into the back rooms to find Clark. But by the time that happens, I feel like the movie is already in its third act, and I kind of didn't realize that. That's sort of that. There's the found footage sequence in the middle is kind of the climax of the second act, and then the third act is shifting perspective to her, which is interesting. I like how they shift. I like how this perspective shifts to her following him in. I like how he's revealed to actually be more. Clark ends up being more sinister than you realize, and more the Backrooms is like the creature is sort of his own creation. I'm like, that's a really cool idea. Uh, and excuse the coughing. I should have brought water in before I started recording a review, but it's fine. It's fine. Uh, so I really like the way that they do that is interesting, but that's where I feel like the movie is like, I could have used a few more scenes with Clark in the back room. It is a little the I don't dislike that he's like kind of evil in the back half, and I think it's like set up well with the therapy scene at the beginning and then the therapy-ish scene in the back rooms. But I just feel like the shift felt very abrupt, and then the ending of the film felt equally abrupt. I will say it didn't overstay its welcome. When Renate Rensva was running from the entity towards the end, I was like, already, I was seeing the if this movie's that much longer, I'm gonna get tired of character running from creature in the back rooms. I'm gonna get real tired of that kind of idea. Uh, and it's interesting because I thought the entity was like a manifestation of their biggest traumas. So I thought that at some point the entity was going to change appearance and suddenly look like the therapist's mother, who they establish she has like this. Sorry about that. They established the therapist's mother has this like trauma, like her mother was kind of crazy. It's implied the reason she was very crazy. It's implied the reason she got into therapy was so she could help people. Like, she could never help her mother. Again, this feels like setup for a character that then gets development, except she as a character doesn't really get development. Like, I guess she kind of does. She has that moment where she, like, breaks down at Clark and, like, calls him out on his bullshit, and that's supposed to be like she's realized she can't help everyone. But I don't know, it's just kind of half-baked. And I would have liked to I would have liked to see a lot more of her character and, like, have her actually go through, like, it feels like, like, you see Clark's entire journey up until his, spoiler alert, his death. And that journey feels very well thought out, consistent. The things that are said versus the things that are not said. You see him discover the Backrooms for the first time. You see how they intrigue him. You see him invite other people in and invite his employees in and be kind of careless about, their lives and their safety. And then you see his final heel turn at the end. But her arc, where they sort of shift it to being from her perspective, and then the movie... Jesus Christ. They shift it to being from her perspective, and then the movie just kind of ends, like 20 minutes after that, 30 minutes after that. So it doesn't overstay its welcome, but it also doesn't feel like it sticks around for long enough. I actually cannot talk that much longer. This is going to be like a 10-minute video. Maybe, because my voice is like... What the hell? The Backrooms. My lungs are filled with the dust from the Backrooms. And, movie good. The sets are really cool. The sets are really cool. Okay, I think my voice is recovering. Okay, here we go. I can talk. I just need to breathe for a second. This is just gonna be a part of the video. I was gonna edit some of this out, but now I don't like, this is kind of funny. I like that even the scenes that aren't in the back rooms have this strange sense of liminality to them. Like, they're not... Like, Kane Parsons and the cinematographer, He is 20 years old, not the cinematographer. Kane Parsons is 20 years old. They have a really good sense of like making this of just like making the ordinary look uncanny, and especially like it's set in the 90s, and it tells you that at certain points. But I also realized it before it told me, just kind of based on like vibes, just the weird look. There's one great shot in an empty parking lot where there's just like a homeless man with a shopping cart, and the camera is like below the shopping cart, like abrasively in his face, and that's like an establishing shot. He's not a character, he doesn't have lines. It's an establishing shot in the parking lot, and the close up on his face, and it's very jarring. It creates an atmosphere that is very unsettling, very jarring. And the movie is really good at doing stuff like that. When I got to my showing, I was a little late, and I got concessions first because, you know, movie without popcorn. No, no, no. But I walked into the theater right as, so the beginning found footage section, I walked in right as the found footage section was recreating the initial Backrooms image, like the original one that spawned the whole meme into YouTube series, into movie. Crazy track record for, like, you know, we're talking about like internet movies and YouTubers. Like, if they had made a Backrooms movie 10 years ago, it would have been so dog shit. But, like, you know, you get this YouTuber on it who has a clear idea of what his version of the concept is, and it works. It does just work. Story qualms and complaints aside, and honestly, the story complaints bother me less and less the more, like, it's one of those movies where the good parts do linger with me more. The impressive cinematography, the creative set design, the weird, uncomfortable liminality. When I walked into the theater, this is what I was trying to say. When I walked into the theater, the first thing I saw was the Backrooms image. Like, the camera, I think the found footage shot kind of holds on it for a couple seconds, so I walked in the middle of that, and it was surreal. It felt like I was, like, walking into the meme, almost. Like, I'm like, oh, here's the meme, and now suddenly it's moving. Like, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm not sure if the movie literally opens on that image, or if the found footage section, he just stops for a second on that image. But my experience of walking in absolutely enhanced the whole really tense first sequence. And then the found footage sequence in the middle. Dude, the found footage sequence in the middle is freaky. They go through so many rooms. The Christmas room, and when the fucking entity picks up the camera, because, yeah, obviously they've got a camera in the universe, but, like, Clark sets it down and the entity picks it up. I'm shocked I've never seen a found footage horror movie do that. I'm sure that has been done before, but I've never seen it before, and it was really cool. And I think the coughing fit has subsided. Unfortunately, I have very little else to say about the movie, because the plot and characters are not... I'm trying not to, like, do too much of a deep dive, but I also just, like... Nope. It's back. We're ending the video now. There's not a lot of character analysis for me to do, or plot analysis. Not that the characters and plot are one-dimensional. The movie really gets into this, like, Backrooms as a metaphor for your own trauma thing, and it's like the metaphor works, it's just underdeveloped. It's underdeveloped, and the ending of the movie feels equally underdeveloped. I think that kind of is fine for this movie, though, because it keeps up, like, you develop it too much, and the Backrooms loses its mystique. The uneasy fear of the unknown feeling goes away if you explain it too much, or have characters figure out what to do too much. So I do think some of the unsatisfying unresolved feeling is intentional, like, to keep up that mystique, and I think that's a good thing. So, the more I talk about it, the more I'm like, yeah, you could say this was a perfect movie, and I'd be like, yeah, okay. I mean, if everything worked for you, that's great. Not everything exactly worked for me, but I still thought it was really cool. It's just cool to see an actually cool internet meme horror concept get given a big Hollywood budget and brought to life like this. Like, that's crazy. I'm sure Hollywood's going to do a lot more of that in the future with how well this movie is doing, and I'm sure the results will be extremely mixed, leaning towards bad. But, depending on what it is, I'll go see it. And then there'll be more YouTubers like the Minecraft movie, Chicken Jockey. Like the age of the YouTube movie is about to take full swing, and we'll see how well that goes. But if it's more stuff like this, I'm down to see it. I'm down to see it. Arrivederci! I'm gonna go drink water. Apologies again for all that coughing.